Hello and welcome back to Love, Faith, Peace, and Blessings Ministries. And today we are talking about knowing your worth. It is a very, very pivotal time right now. We're coming into a season that it's the fall, and a lot of things are happening simultaneously. And you're seeing blessings come together. You're seeing manifestations of certain things come in order. You're seeing certain things come into alignment. And because of this, it's a fight for these things to come into restoration, because there's a downpouring and a restoration through the restoration of God that is necessary. This is the time that we are meant to see the manifestations of the blessings. And because of this, there's an amount of warfare that's coming back, pushing against that. The other day I talked a little bit about Daniel. And in Daniel, you saw, I didn't go into this part of Daniel, but Daniel did that 21-day fast. Daniel was not standing for just 21 days. Daniel was standing to see a breakthrough. He got his answer in 17 days, but he fasted for 21. Because the angel was held up day 1 and did not reach him till the 17th day, because he was fighting with the prince of Persia. There are blessings that we have been standing for months, weeks, years, decades, some people. Because there have been demonic, satanic assassins sent out, that every single time you are preparing to receive a blessing, they are sent to buffet and or stop you from receiving that blessing. There's actually a prayer that you can pray in order to help you in relation to dealing with buffeting spirits, because they try to buffet your ability to move forward. I usually just pray for my breaker angels to go forth and break anything that the enemy is trying to do, whether it be breaking walls, barriers, whatever that is under and according to specific scriptures in relation to the thing in which I'm looking and seeking to see broken. But we are in a season right now that it's a high spiritual season. We just passed Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. We're coming up into what is it? The I don't know if that's Monday or not, but we're coming up into what day is that? The Feast of Tabernacles. I think that's what it is. And yes, the Feast of Tabernacles, because I'm seeing tabernacles in my head. And it's the Feast of Tabernacles, which is a 10-day celebration that goes from there's one feast that goes from the 1st to the 10th, but I know that there's a spiritual calendar that goes from the 15th to the 23rd, but it starts on the 10th through the 17th. The way that it's a little bit, because you got what the actual calendar we see, and then it's a spiritual Greek calendar. I think it's the Greek calendar that the dates are slightly off the dates that we have. But yeah, it's a lot going on in the spirit realm right now. And what happens is when you're dealing with stuff like that, you see high holy days. These are days of consecration, physical feasts and alignments that you got to eat, drink, do whatever that's in alignment with what it is that the Lord is telling you. Don't do it if it's not called to you for you to do it. But I have done it. Some people believe in it. Some people don't believe in it. It's all in what you believe. But I suggest if you are standing for some heavy stuff to be broken, you know what to do. Get in alignment with the right days, especially with you've got, I believe there's you've got full moons, you've got a lot. When you've got full moons, you've got the fall solstice, you've got Halloween, you've got all of these types of things happening. That's a lot of witchcraft comes up during this time and these seasons, right in alignment and undercutting the fact that you have Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, the Feast of Tabernacles, and then there's a high holy day that happens. I think it's the Day of the Saints or something like that. That's November 1st. The enemy literally created that. It's a legal ruling that there was a All Saints Day that was created on November 1st. And October 31st was literally created in order to bring a bunch of witchcraft up against the Saints' Day, which was supposed to be a high holy day. So they bring a satanic day one day before Holy Day. What do you think that does on that holy day? It's almost to cancel out, because you have a holy plus an unholy day, and the two spiritual things are fighting at the same time. This is why in the spirit realm that during the month of October it feels like you're experiencing the weirdest amount of turbulence in the spirit that you've ever experienced in your entire life, and you're sitting there like, I didn't like this, why am I here? This is not fun. But if you are a child of God that's been pulled into intense fasting, intense prayer, intense intercession, you're interceding for family members, people, places, promises, people that you know, people you don't know. God has pulled me into praying and fasting for people that I know that I wasn't even praying for, and He's availed information to me about certain people, and I'm like, why are you asking me to pray for them? Shouldn't they be praying for themselves? And God's like, because you're in this space right now, I need you to pray. I was like, okay, it's not my job to argue. So I pray when I'm told to pray, and I felt the heat from it too. But that being said, it's the same thing when it comes down to me even being on here and talking about the topics that I talk about, because let me just be honest with you. Some days I don't want to talk about marriage or anything like that. As a child of God, I feel like talking about God is more important than talking about marriage. But I understand why the Lord desires for me to talk about marriage and understanding of marriage. Some people say, there are people that will argue you down to the minute. It's like, if you ain't married, you shouldn't be talking about marriage. Some non-married people have more knowledge on and understanding about the science of marriage and the spiritual ramification of marriage than people that are married do. Right now, we are literally seeing people in the world going into divorce in ways that we thought we would never see it. Why? And there you heard the prophetess that I listened to say several weeks ago, you're about to see God change the script, where marriage was sanctified for the people that were under the alignment and the choosing of the Lord. It's about to return to that. For the last shall be first, for the marriages shall return unto God. When God is birthing out something, for your land shall be plentiful. Birth. We need these marriages for the land's curse to be broken. And because this curse needs to be broken, Because if you haven't noticed out there, we're seeing wars. We're seeing rumors of wars. We're seeing famine. We're seeing all kinds of sinful, adulterous, ludicrous, perverted things happening out in our world. And God needs these things to happen. And it's like, if there's anything that I want to talk about, I don't really particularly want to talk about it right now. I don't. But a lot of us are in preparation seasons for this. And because we're in preparation seasons, we need to prepare. And I need to show you, because some people aren't doing what I do. Everybody has their own preparatory prep for marriage. But God's shown me this particular way. So I'm doing it the way that the Lord has shown me is my route of being able to get it done. Because that is not my way, guarantee you. Because I guarantee you the way that I probably would have did it was, I would have probably been listening to marriage books or something like that. Top 10 books on marriage or something like that. No, God's like, I need you to listen to this prayer. I need you to do this. I need you to understand the courts of heaven, angelic assignments. I need you to understand this. I need you to understand how to cover your marriage. I need you to read this prayer book. I need you to read this prayer book. I need you to start actually using those prayers and praying those prayer points. I need you to think about the beautification process. I need you to focus on Esther. I need you to do this. I need you to do, yeah. Because see, a lot of people aren't living the word. They read it. It's like the people that go to church and then go back home and start acting a fool as soon as they leave church, because they want to say, I'm grandstanding and I'm going to show up to church because I'm going to present myself as if I am sanctified before the Lord. And God's like, you go home and you do X, Y, and Z. I see you. It's the same way with the people that are supposed to be living their lives for God. You're supposed to live your life for God. There are people that have said and walked in operation of, oh, I love Jesus. I did go to church. I was the music minister. I was this person. I was this person. I was this person. You see me in church and behind closed doors. There's a current song right now that's mocking church girls. Why is it mocking church girls? Because too many of them have portrayed the actual living ability to be a church woman and mocked it. And so this song glorifies the ones that mock it. Because see, people can't take the heat of having to fully obey the will of God in order to wait for what it is that the Lord has shown them that they deserve. I was listening to a word yesterday, and sometimes, especially for a lot of us that are waiting on our God-ordained spouse, people are wondering, why isn't our spouse showing up? Why isn't our spouse showing up? Why? Because he wasn't ready to obey yet. Maybe he verbally was obeying. Praise be to Jesus. Love you, God. God, 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 God. But behind closed doors, he was acting a purity fool. And God's like, I ain't sending you nowhere near my child until you get yourself together. Because that's my child. Because they acting up. Prodigals be acting up. Because think about it. Think about somebody coming to tell you, hey, by the way, I know you're living your life. I know this life looks really fun. I know it's a bunch of sin here. I know this is amazing to you. I know you're out here like you out in Vegas doing your thing. Right? You're out here. You doing it. You having fun. You having. Yeah. By way, I'm coming to tell you spiritually, you have a wife and your wife is waiting for you. And because your wife is waiting for you, I'm going to need you to cut off all these sins that you're committing. And here's a long list of all the things that you need to cut off. And because of all of the things that you need to cut off, You need to cut that off, that off, that, her, and her. Stop acting like this. Stop doing this. Stop doing the other thing. Stop doing that. Oh, and you're going to have to get rid of the friends in which you have because they all are committing those sins. Do you imagine that you would feel at all like you had any parts or rights to the decisions that were being made in that situation? It's like somebody coming to you and saying, the life that you've been living is a lie, and I need for you to now operate under my control. You ever seen a rebellious teenager when their parent comes and tells them, this is what you are supposed to be doing, this is what you have to do, and this is what you should be doing? Now go do that. What does the rebellious teenager do? They go out and do whatever the heck they want anyway. They don't care. Sometimes when they are told what to do, it makes them rebel. And because of this is where you see delays at. So with all of these things happening spiritually, and then this being a season of high holy mess between the godly things happening and the ungodly things happening, there's a bunch of confusion in the spirit that is happening. So I thought I would come on here and I would explain to you these three things that you have to understand and understand your worth, because what the enemy is sending right now is depression, oppression, and confusion right now. And even a bit of a spirit of suicide. I've been seeing that come up a lot. I've actually seen a lot of people talking about it too, because what the enemy is trying to do is get you to forfeit your blessing by ending your life. So you need to understand your worth, because what the enemy is doing, and I've said this before and I'm going to say it again, he's sending assignments in which will have you stay in the comfort zone in which he wants to keep you in. Somebody else was talking about this the other day, where they said that the enemy is using the people around these prodigals in order to speak into their ears word curses that will get them to come into alignment with the demonic person or person that is activated demonically to be the counterfeit in their life, whether it be business opportunities, whether it be relationships, partnerships, friendships, family, what have you, in order to keep them in the bondages of the curses of their family lineage, in order to thereby keep them under dictation, control, and confusion, for a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, to prevent them from receiving it. So what, like the message I was talking about yesterday, your marriage is going to not only break the curse, it's going to bless the lineages that follow behind it. And because of that, the enemy is doing everything to hold these people in contempt, to hold them in temptation, to hold them in their perverted lifestyles, so on and so forth, and to lull them back into a sleeping state that they can literally use any open door that they can find to manipulate and re-enter. Because what does it say in the word? When the enemy sees that his house has been swept clean, he goes back and he cannot enter, but he must bring 7 foes even worse than himself. So this is a season where it's an all-out war, because of the fact that in the spirit, the enemy is like, I gotta get my last stand in, because we about to be wiped out here. We gotta fight for our territory, because God's people about to come in here and do the smackdown. So what you need to be aware of is, if you do not know your God-ordained spouse, please get in alignment, fast, pray, do whatever you got to do. Get into the ordinance of the Lord and pray to the Lord to show you who your spouse is. Get multi-confirmations from the Lord as to who he is. If you've already been told who he is, then you need to come into alignment with the confirmation and make sure that that's the confirmation he has given you. And that's your due. And then once you are certain, you wait for that person and that person only. I was listening to a young woman and she was talking about a prayer in which she had prayed, which is similar to something that I had prayed. But she was talking about how I don't want nothing else but that. And that's the point. If you pray for the one that the Lord has shown you, you will reject anything else coming at you. And are also, like I said, the things in which you have to pray in order for you not to walk into the confusion of counterfeit relationships. Because the first point, identical copycats will come to try to finesse you. You remember how I was saying in the word about the progress, and when you get close to where you're going, you see a counterfeit. My dad saw the building that looked like the building, so he turned there. No. What happens is the enemy will bring you a counterfeit that looks identical to. Perfect example. What I have always noticed in relationships, situations, and sequences is that when the Lord is preparing you for a relationship, sometimes he will allow you to get in a relationship with somebody that's wrong for you. I only needed to do that once. But guess what? In me doing that and then taking it back to the Lord, look, Lord, I've seen what was wrong in this relationship I was in. I need you to correct this for me so that I will be able to recognize and identify when I walk into the next relationship. And when God identified my next relationship, what did he do? He showed me the characteristics of the person that I was supposed to be with. And when I tell you that the characteristics of this particular person is almost identical to the characteristics of the last guy, but his personality, all of that is very much like the guy that I was with previously. But this guy is one that the Lord is saying, no, this is the one that's for you. Because this is the one that's aligned for my will for your life. But the thing is, he's still operating in prodigal ways, much like my counterfeit was. But he's working on himself. The thing about it that's different from the counterfeit that I was with is he has God in him and he is willing to listen to God. Does he fight it? I'm pretty sure he does. Men aren't as obedient as we are sometimes. But that's the point. They are willing to be molded. But what God will do, he'll sometimes allow you to go through a counterfeit relationship in order to show you what wasn't right for the real thing when it does come. I was listening to a young woman and she was saying that the Lord will allow the counterfeit to come into your life in order to expose your sin, to raise it to the surface so that you can see your sin in order for him to help you to deal with it. And then once you destroy that, and I noticed that every season I've been in, when I've dealt with a difficult person, it was something within them that was something that I either deep-seatedly was dealing with that didn't understand, and I needed to raise it up to the Lord and allow the Lord to deliver me from it. And when I was delivered from it, the person was allowed to leave me that was tormenting me. So that's what the counterfeit for your God-ordained spouses. They are meant to help them realize themselves, deal with themselves, then they will leave. If the person does not become attached. We have this soul tie thing, attachment, that keeps happening to us. And yes, it's an identical copycat. The problem, and I was saying this to myself last night, is we nice people because we're children of God. I was always that kid that was so nice. I love you. You're nice. I'm nice. I don't want to. And what the enemy will do is he knows you're nice, so he brings a person to play on whatever your niceness is. If you're loving, he's going to play on your pull on your love strings. If you're caring, he's going to prey on that care. If you like to talk, he's going to pretend to be the listener. All of these types of things. That's what the identical copycat does in order to get you to talk. And the twist I noticed recently, I don't know whether I said this before, was he will sit someone in your presence. If you are in a season of isolation, he will sit one person next to you. Now, if they're not your character type, meaning it's something about them, like for instance, you understand, I can't talk to this person. If I give this person information, they're going to destroy me with it because they have a negative attitude. Anything that you say to them brings about negativity out their mouth. So if you know that that person has negativity on their mouth, then you're not likely going to share that. But catch this, we as women, if we're sat next to a woman that even to the most surface degree we can talk to, the enemy will literally send somebody right there to be a counterfeit friend to you just so that they can monitor, listen, and hear what it is that you need to talk to because they're sitting with you. You will talk with them. You will share with them, especially if it feels like they are cut from the same cloth spiritually as you. You'll be more likely to open up, and the enemy uses that against you. So the same thing will happen with a counterfeit. The enemy will send a counterfeit identical to the man in which you're supposed to be with that's going to open up all of the doors in which the enemy desires to slip into and manipulate you through with confusion, manipulation, potentially perversion, demonic delays, all of this. Second, emotional support. Well, that's technically what I was just saying. It comes with desiring, you're seeking emotional support, so you're talking to them too much. And they appear like they are properly aligned to listen, but they were a decoy. They weren't there but for more than anything to be a decoy that you would talk to them. They are nothing more than a monitoring spirit taking the information back to the spiritual realm and allowing your enemies, the people performing witchcraft against you and so on and so forth, to continue to operate in warfare against you. Last night I had a dream, or do you want me to share the dream? He wants me to share the point. He showed me this one particular thing, and I'm just going to say what the person said. And the person had said, they looked at me and said, the strongholds are broken. We need to create a new bust. I was like, what? It's like your enemies can see that you've broken all of the strongholds. You've torn down all of the things. You've worn out and took out all of the spiritual whatever. You did it. So now they feel like, oh, snap, she done took it out. That means we got to create something to be a new plant to reinstate the root of that stronghold and put it back again. And with how they do that is getting close to you, trying to emotionally manipulate you. And some of these men fall for it. The men who aren't as spiritually aware as we are, they may fall for it because they're kind, they're nice, they have a jovial spirit. So they might be like, I'll open up and I'll talk to you. Or maybe they don't have enough people because they have a lot of people around them that they can't talk to about their emotional things. So they kind of are willing to open up to a person that if they can get close enough to their inner sanctum, Delilah, they'll rest their head on their shoulders and start talking too much. When it comes to us, it's usually our feminine relationships that have us open up to people too much. that create our demonic delays, because the enemy is seeking out information in order to find out what God is doing with you now. And finally, the trophy husband. The enemy will do is he'll send a trophy. He'll send somebody that look real good. I mean, they got the looks, they got the clothes, they got the whatever it is. It's all of your likings to a T. Looks nice, looks real good, looks sexy, got the body, got the car, got the house, got the dog, got the Maserati or two, got all of this, and they will talk you under a table. They know how to talk you right into their bed, and if you fall for it, they'll say everything they need for you to say, especially if they know that you're seeking marital relations. They'll say it all. But if they can sneak you into their bedroom, the second they lay you down and get you in the bed, the next day it's like they gone. They ghosted you. Deuces to you. And you're like, what happened? I thought we... That's why you need to pray to the Lord for him to show you the covenant of who it is that you're supposed to be with. Because the enemy is not playing fair right now. And there's another little trick that the enemy is using. What's happening is there's dreams. Remember yesterday I was talking about an episode of a TV show I was watching that the woman had the dream? There's something I forgot to mention. The dreams in which she was having was in order to make her afraid for her partner's safety. There are dreams going out now in order to make you scared for your partner, breed worry for your partner, concern for them that may be unjustified, as well as doubt through past fears that the enemy is trying to send in order to open you up to becoming angry enough that she'll be like, I'm gonna pray for them, but I'm no longer interested because they out here moving all shady. And what then ends up happening is, because they moving all shady, the enemy is hoping that you'll say, oh, he out there moving shady, let me go out here and do what I want to do too. I heard somebody say that. I literally heard a Christian woman say that. There recently was another Christian woman that literally just got caught up in a situation where she felt lonely and ended up getting caught up in sex. And it's like, she was like, and she didn't even want to tell nobody that it happened, but she had to be pure about her testimony. So she told, because she needed to warn people. This is the type of shady stuff that the enemy is doing right now. So be alert, be aware, know your worth. If God said it, stand for it. If God said that there's somebody for you, there's somebody for you. This God-ordained spouse is coming to you. He may be dealing with warfare too, but trust, he's on his way. Go and listen to my He's on his way word. He's en route. Until next time, this is love, faith, peace, and blessings. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.